Remaining inward, we'll listen to these words from Swami Kriyananda, the affirmation for self-healing on income. Money should be seen as an energy flow, not as something that can be hoarded. For when money is treated as a material reality, it blocks one's creative flow. Money, like matter, is only frozen energy. Energy is what creates matter. It is energy that forever moves, changes, and dissolves matter. Matter, untouched by energy, is inert. If you need to increase your income, know that the energy you put out is more important than specific schemes for earning. Energy will attract opportunity. Recharge your energy from its cosmic source, and whatever income you need will be ever yours. Let's practice an affirmation together now. First loudly, and then we'll get quieter with each time. The treasury of the infinite is mine.
The treasury of the infinite is mine.
For its wealth is energy.
For its wealth is energy.
And I am energy.
And I am energy.
A bit softer in a speaking voice. The treasury of the infinite is mine.
The treasury of the infinite is mine.
For its wealth is energy.
For its wealth is energy.
And I am energy.
And I am energy.
And now in a whisper, the treasury of the infinite is mine.
The treasury of the infinite is mine.
For its wealth is energy.
Its wealth is energy.
And I am energy. And now silently, repeating these words at the point between the eyebrows. The treasury of the infinite is mine. For its wealth is energy. And I am energy. And now feeling this prayer. O mighty fountain of infinite light, from whose spray the countless galaxies are made, let me wash away my worldly ambitions in thy waters. Let me bathe in radiant eddies of thy energy. Thou art my wealth, thou my treasure, thou my security. Thank you, everyone, for joining this week. And we're on week 20 from Rays of the One Light, weekly commentaries on the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita. This week is on activity versus inner communion. And tomorrow is Swami's birthday, so we'll have a normal talk on the inspiration from this reading, and then we have a little special video to share with you all. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramhansa Yogananda. Last week, we contemplated the well-known story of Martha and Mary. Traditionally, this story has been offered to show the two classic approaches to salvation, the first through action and the second through prayer. The excuse of the Marthas of this world has always been, the church needs its Marthas too. Treatises, moreover, have been written to justify the Martha approach to piety, praising her self-sacrifice as, perhaps, an even higher demonstration of devotion. Thus do the unmeditative in religion try to justify themselves. Yet, the fact remains that Jesus rebuked Martha. Elsewhere, moreover, he spoke of the virtue of feeding the hungry, curing the sick, and housing those who were homeless. It wasn't that he disapproved of serving people. Wrong attitude was the object of his criticism. What he was criticizing was forgetfulness of the true goal of right spiritual action, good deeds outwardly without inner communion with God will result in good karma, but will not bring final freedom from all karma. The path to inner freedom was described by Paramhansa Yogananda in these words: be always calmly active and actively calm. As it says in the Bhagavad Gita, the 2nd chapter, he who is not shaken by anxiety during times of sorrow, nor elated during times of happiness, who is free from egoic desires and their attendant fear and anger, such a one is of steady discrimination. Do your duty in life, so counsels this great scripture elsewhere, but never lose sight of him to whom all action should be dedicated. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. Om. Om.
What a wonderful reading. I have to start with a dad joke. I just found out that my friend has a secret life as a priest. It's his alter ego. I'll leave it at that. And I'll counteract that, and I'll start with a reading from Whispers of Eternity, and it's a short one. It's bless me that I may perceive thee through the windows of all activities. Bless me that I may perceive thee through the windows of all joyous activities. Look upon me and cheer me always as I engage in my daily duties. Let my every action, whether waking, sleeping, or dreaming, be sprayed by the fountain of thy presence. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. As we were reading that, I just had an image of my mind. How often, and I'm sure you can all relate to this, you've just done this amazing piece of work that you put your whole heart into, whether it's work or at home or something, and all of a sudden, the person that you did it for, or the group, that just there is no recognition, or they shoot it down in flames, and you sit there going, what? I just did all this, I did all this, and the ego gets in there and, starts fighting. And, if you think about life, it is that we're involved in this play, and we put all our tentacles out to everything that we do. But most of the time that we put our tentacles out, we've already predetermined the outcome, haven't we? Like we put it in there and we think, yeah, well, this is what I expect. And then when you don't get it, what happens? We get down on ourselves, and we're constantly playing this world of, I'm going to do this, but I expect this. And then I'm going to do this, and then I expect this. And most of the time we have this outcome that's already laid out for us. And I think, to be really short about this, the outcome that Jesus was talking about was that you do your actions, but you're doing the actions in savor or service for God. But then you give the result to God also. And then whatever happens out of that outcome is in grace. And then you lose that attachment to what it is. I can't quite remember the quote, but Swami Kriyananda said it. He said, I don't have any expectation of outcome. I let that all play out. And then I don't get disappointed in life. What a great way to
All
be.
I wanted was the devotee's happiness.
Yeah.
That was.
And so, I think it's quite an amazing, very easy to live by, of course, way to live. It's like everything that we do, we give it up and we do it as a channel. And, it kind of comes down to, when you think about it, if thoughts are universal, we're attracting those thoughts and we're allowing them to come in. And then ultimately, if we're attracting those thoughts, we should really hand those thoughts back, or be that channel and then allow that channel to come into it. And you know, it's an important lesson. We say it all the time, don't we? You know, the minute we start being in control, Divine Mother will slap you down and go, "How you're not in control." And that's when we find those disappointments, don't you? You know, it's like, oh, I can't believe we just did that. But you know, Swami, you know, and I like to celebrate Swami. You know, everything he did, you know, from the minute he started, he had great potential. He was really well known and set up to be a playwright. And you know, as we all know, his ability to write and share stories is fantastic. And he spent years, you know, manifesting that and doing that. But in the end, he gave it all up because he said, I can't do that for waffle. I can't do that for truth. And, you know, if you think about that, I can only do that for truth. And what is truth? I don't know. At that stage, I don't know what truth is. So I just can't be a part of this. And then he found this path, and he found Yogananda and found what truth was. And even then, he'd given up that need to be a playwright. He gave up. He didn't want to write. He didn't want to do any of those. And Master had different ideas but he gave him those ideas because he gave up the ego behind that idea. He gave up the ego that what he was doing wasn't his. It was in service for a channel to be shared. And I think that's what, you know, Swami was amazing at. He wanted that truth. He wanted that ability for truth. So it was, and what is truth? I mean, I sit here and I think about how much of our conversations during the day are, and, you know, when you think about those conversations, or even when it involves work or whatever we do, it's often waffle. It often just goes on and on and on and on and about, you know, I'm going to have this done and we're going to get this done. And, you know, and in the end, you look at it a week down the track, you know, I mean, I do it at work. We have all these meetings, we have these goals, or we have all these things. And 2 months later, you're thinking, what was all that? Why did we waste our effort on that? But everything that we do in life is almost similar. It's coming back to that truth and going, well, what is the purpose of us being here? And ultimately, our purpose for being here is to find God. Every one of us has our own path to find God. And the biggest savor that you can do is help other people find God, but help yourself, you know. It's like putting the mask on first and then helping those around you. And ultimately, that is it, you know, and however that can be done is a really fun way. And we're having a chat with Asha, and we're talking about, you know, the state of the world and how it is. But ultimately, our job is to shine a light, you know. And if you think about this, you could be driving down a freeway. We talked about this, driving down a freeway, and all you can see is thunder and lightning and black clouds and whatever it is. But out of the back corner of the window, there's a spot of ray and a rainbow, and your attention will soon get drawn to that rainbow, won't it? You don't have to be the big storm at front and the lightning and the crashing. We can be that rainbow, that bit of light that draws attention through these times. And by doing that is ultimately serving God in all. And that's what the reading, that's what the whispers and was all about. So I challenge you this week just to reflect, take a moment every time you're sitting in a conversation, you're starting to do something, thinking, well, is this helping me find God, and in what way? And, you know, you start realizing that, you know, we get caught up in all these things. We start seeking recognition. Oh, geez, I did that. Did you notice? Why didn't you notice? And it's like, what does it matter? Ultimately. Well, no one's going to notice it in an hour's time.
Oh, thank you. I don't know if some of you saw me. I was trying to like put this picture up because we don't have enough space, but today is also a celebration of this dear soul. And so this book, many of you know, this is the Light Bearer book from Asha Nayaswami. And I thought, okay, how can we bring in Swamiji's example of exactly this reading and honor his example as well as his birthday? And then I thought, oh my gosh, Asha does that for us. So in her book, she says the definition of a light bearer. And so this beautifully ties into what you were just sharing. By the way, every birthday of Swamiji, a rainbow appears. And now, At Ananda village, that would be even in a sunny day. That's really interesting, yeah? But it's his little way of saying hello to everyone on his birthday. And so anyway, the words of Asha, a light bearer is one whose very presence uplifts the consciousness of others. I'll read it again. A light bearer is one whose very presence uplifts the consciousness of others. And so, how does this tie into the story of Martha and Mary? Well, it goes back to the conversation we had with Asha. She's such a dear, wise light. She is walking in those footsteps of being a light bearer, as are others on our spiritual path. But she was sharing that it's not about what we're doing. It's not the what, it's not the where, it's the how. And that's what Jesus is trying to share with Martha. Good works are wonderful, but did you do it with love? Did you do it with devotion? Did you do it selflessly? Or were you wondering about praise, recognition, outcomes like numbers? And Asha said, Swamiji, he did everything with, what did he used to say? I never lose my inner peace. So he was the definition of calmly active and actively calm. He served his guru tirelessly, but with joy and with selflessness. And he would often come in situations where there might just be one person in the room, but he would give the best, discourse on that topic of his life. And he said, that just came out of nowhere, but it was because I was willing to serve Master for that one person. It didn't matter if it was a crowd of people. He just saw it as an opportunity to be a light for that soul in front of him. And so it was such an important reminder of Jesus with Mary. She was trying to organize all these events and details, but she was worrying. So the vibrations she was putting out weren't actually helping her master. So when devotees start to think more about the projects, one of Ananda's founding principles is people are more important than things. And you'll notice that over the lifespan of Ananda, whenever there are projects that gain more momentum than the people and the service of people, it just doesn't work. And so there's a magnetism that comes with drawing energy through our love and our selfless service and our giving spirit that then attracts more souls that want to be a part of that. And it's also true, with what Swamiji has done. When he passed away, people said, it's like I lost my best friend. I still remember crying uncontrollably, and I'd only met him, a handful of times. But it was a pain in the heart because this great light that I felt closer to than anyone else on the planet was just not on the planet anymore. And that's the kind of loss that he would experience when he would visit Italian stores and people would be like, you're leaving? Yeah, I have to go back to America. But you're like my best friend. And I don't even know why. But that's the kind of person that he was by being, in our prayer, we invoke the masters. We also say friend, comma, beloved, comma, God. We have to remember God is friendship. God is our best friend in the world. So when we allow ourselves to be a channel for God's friendship, God's light, God's joy, we're creating these vibrations. So what Mary was able to share vibrationally was a loving vibration. What our dear friend Martha was sharing was like, ah! and was it the right energy to serve her guru? He was trying to share that no, the way to draw more souls to the light is by being light, by sharing light. And so when Swamiji did all of these tours, when he did all of his writing, when he did all of his playwriting, when he did all of his music sharing, he did it without ego, selfless service, in joy, but never losing his peace. Because as soon as he lost peace, the vibration drops. And he was an example of how to do discipleship perfectly, never losing an opportunity to serve Guru as a channel for light, for perfect peace, for stillness. So if you can imagine, he came not to be a great guru. He came to show us, I'll put his picture here, to show us how to be a disciple and a servant of God. They call it Guru Bhakti, Guru Seva. So it's the Guru's devotion to Guru, devotion to your Seva. But true karma yoga is without the fruits or desires of any result. And Swamiji, he didn't mind. He would write a song for one person. One time he was at a talk and he was getting ready to share a song, and he completely changed his program because there was a soul in the audience, and he felt Divine Mother say he needed to get this certain piano piece. I think it was Divine Romance, and I think the person in the audience was Bhagavati, Ramesh's wife. And so when she was in the audience, he felt guided to go find this concerta piano piece, and he another person went and got him the notes, and then he played it because there was this one soul in the audience who it would touch and it would help. And then another occasion, he said he wrote a book and it was for like one person at Ananda village. So he would do things just to serve without any desire for fame, for recognition, for numbers. He just did it to serve a soul, God serving God. And he didn't mind if Ananda was a success or a failure. He just minded that he served his master. What were some of the last things he was worried about on his, I won't say worried, thinking about on reflecting on this physical plane? He said, I just hope I served my master well in this life. And I would be like, Swami, yes, you did. You helped all of us. You're speaking to all of us even now. And through each other and our friendships with each other, we get to carry on his vibration and his divine friendship and his example. So every time we pick up a pencil, we pick up a social media graphic we're going to share, we pick up a broom, we light our candle. These are all moments where we can pause. So no matter what the seva is, little, medium, large, it doesn't matter. The vibration is what matters. So we're always sharing with all of you. Every time you come to this, all of us together are creating a vibration that's going out, and it's honoring Swamiji's spirit of friendship, joy, peacefulness, and just going out into the world. Every time we have like our little board meeting, or every time we send ohms at the end of a class, every time that we sit and meditate together, he said, feel you are communing with spirit together, consciously doing that. So when we come and we have our Sundays, and when we come together and we have our meditations, consciously feeling their presence, the gurus, the light, spirit, and each other meditating together and being those Marys in the world, sending it out, because we don't, this is another thing Asha said, we do not realize the effect we're having, big or small, on the people around us. And we may never know, but the joy comes from living our life for God, for joy. And we get to be channels for that. And we get to share that. And if we go back and look at our life, we can say, yes, I was a friend. I carried a portable paradise of peace in my heart. I wore a cloak of light and I shared light. You know, you want to be able to look back and say, Yogananda, I hope I did you proud, just like Swamiji. And with that, we'll watch a little video dedicated to Swamiji's life, and we can enjoy it together. It's about I think 8 minutes or 10 minutes, and then we'll share some music, and then we'll have a little time at the end. So thank you all.